So, let's get into Halo Infinite. Let's talk a little bit about our experience with that game. Master Chief, obviously back for another iteration of the series, and it was the Halo game that tried to redefine itself with this open world environment, and as with every single Halo game, there's always something that releases with some sort of issue. Going back from the very original with Bungie to even what's happening at 343. What was your general thoughts of Halo Infinite? And I guess for people that have not dipped their toes into this game yet, what's the most unique aspects, and what's your what was something that, compared to previous Halo games, that you thought this did differently and perhaps even better than the previous titles?
I mean, I think the big selling point really is two things. It's the open world nature and it's the grapple hook. Those are two things that typically have not been seen in a Halo game, and so it really does change the way you play the game. I've got a bit of a problem though, and that is every time I play a game on co-op, I tend to never be paying attention to the story. I'm not soaked in. I'm not engrossed. I'm not, immersed in the atmosphere or anything like that. And that's exactly what happened with Halo Infinite. So obviously I've been playing the campaign with yourselves, and I don't know what it is. When party chat's on, it just kind of takes over everything. So I've not cared about the story. I've not, really felt anything for the characters. I've loosely been following, okay, this has got to happen. I've got to go there. I've got to destroy this thing. So for the most part, it still is a Halo game. But it isn't without its flaws and its bugs. And my God, there are still a lot of bugs, which is really tough to admit, considering they put this game on
the people at home have, well, apart from the people that obviously are listening on audio, but for those that are seeing the video of this, they've probably seen by now 300 Master Chiefs spinning in the air and all of this other random stuff that happens with the game. Grenades stuck in the middle of the air, not exploding. All sorts of stuff that you would think for such a game, notoriety of the series, that they would patch. That they would go in and patch that. And bearing in mind how long this game has been out since we went through it, there's been no interest in them patching any of that stuff.
Well, it's not the money maker. The multiplayer.
Well, I know, but they've got to stop doing. They've got to stop. These developers have got to stop doing this.
That's it.
Treating online co-op like a secondary, like a second-class citizen, so to speak. It's just...
You get one of those guys on the hot seat, and the first thing they'll say is, we've got the telemetry data. We know exactly how many people are playing campaign, and it's just you yourselves. It's just you two playing it at the moment, so it's not worth getting a team together to fix the damn thing. Which is sad. It's unfortunate. But, eventually when Phil sends that over to PlayStation, they'll probably fix it during that port anyway. So.
No, they ain't going to go and do that. They ain't going to do. Don't get people excited. That ain't ever going to happen. Oh. You're never going to see Master Chief on PlayStation.
You heard it here first. Episode 1. Okay.
No, you're not. It's speculation. It's BS alert. No.
I definitely see more games going over. That's for sure.
Yeah, same. I think,
but in terms of, because now that we've gone through Infinite, I've practically finished every Halo game, and on Legendary as well, because I do like that challenge, and I like the achievements you get for that. Was this your first Halo game you've played, or is it?
No, I've played Halo 1. I don't think I played Halo 2 campaign. Played through Halo 3 campaign. Played ODST. Played Halo 4. Missed Halo 5. Don't know why. I think I just kind of got fatigued. Like you say about the story, this game is too sci-fi. It goes into the realm of sci-fi storylines that I disengage. And that's why, and especially when you start going into the lore, and I think maybe if someone went and read the books or whatever that they'd get more of a, more of an introspective look at it. But for me, it's... I find it difficult to care about the story, whereas something like Gears of War is a lot more accessible for me, and that's just me. That's just a personal thing. It's
No,
not
I
a
get it.
criticism against the game.
No, I get it because I'm
find
the
it
exact
difficult to
same.
follow it.
I'm the exact same with fantasy. I've never played an Elder Scrolls game, and I love Fallout.
We almost, during our campaign playthrough, we had a moment where we thought, oh my god, we've gone through all of this, 38 odd hours on that campaign playthrough. We get through to the last mission in the game, which is the Silent Auditorium. And we reach a game-breaking bug. I thought it was over. And it's for those that may play this game, it is very, very possible you're going to experience the same problem, because when we looked online, a lot of people had this problem, and no, of course they've not patched it. As you get towards the end of this game, you're going to have to activate a bridge. You're going to go and try and press a button, and it isn't going to activate if your checkpoint doesn't update for taking those two massive, I can't remember what they're called, but these huge two mini bosses in the previous corridor that can only be taken out really properly by attacking them with the hunters, by attacking the soft flesh on their back, because they're so armored up. And we thought that was it. Fortunately, we did a reboot of the title. Well, not a reboot of the title, but a reboot of the last level, and it worked, and we managed to finish that game. But yeah, I think I thought Halo Infinite grapple hook again for me was as stupid as it sounds, because I played Just Cause, which was the first game really that made the grapple hook famous. But I thought it worked really well in this open world environment. It gave the Master Chief a bit of extra, a dynamic that you could use. It was super handy in Legendary mode to get across and skirt across the map, where you really do, in that difficulty mode, which is you have to play if you're going to play Halo Infinite, play it in Legendary. Play it in Legendary. Because as soon as we finished that campaign and we went to mop everything up, as soon as you make that game too easy, it's broken. It's fun. It's fun for, but there's no challenge in it. But that was one of the things I absolutely loved about the game. And that was, once you crank that difficulty up, you really had to start using your brain to defeat the enemies and these mini bosses in this game. Because not only does it challenge you from an ammo perspective, they are super accurate, perhaps even, you could argue, unfair accurate, the NPCs in this game. But you really had that feeling of accomplishment when you did manage to beat them, even though you might have died about 50, 60 times before you did it.
Yeah.
But that was super nice. But the grappling hook for me was the only power-up type of weapon on this, side weapon or skill power, whatever you call it, that offered the change up in the gameplay. There was only a few times that you would use the sensor weapon, the sensor power up, which for those that haven't played the game, there are some enemies that go partially invisible until they come up to you and attack you. And then you had another one skill in there that enabled you to, what do you call it, strafe left and right with a jetpack. And then you had the drop shield, which just put a shield in front of you. But I never felt, apart from the grappling hook, I never really felt like any of those other skills you ever really, really needed them, apart from that threat sensor for one tiny part in that game where it actually helped to have that threat sensor on.
Yeah, everything, it did feel like a lot of stuff was shoehorned in.
Yeah.
Like you said, the shield has been in other Halos, but it's not been, I don't recall it being something you can kind of throw out there. It was something that was just laying around. I may be completely wrong. I'm going to get butchered for this, so either way. But yeah, the grapple hook, it's one of those really versatile tools that you can use it to not only traverse up mountains and get across places, but, evading combat. If you're in a really tough fight, and in Legendary, even in co-op, you're going to get into a lot of these tough fights where, all I'll say is don't get attached to a certain weapon. When the ammo's out, drop it, grab whatever you can find, and keep going. Keep
Except
those
for
shields.
Except for the pistol, the
blasters,
laser pistol,
the blasters. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, ignore those, but just keep putting pressure on your enemies. Get those shields down. Don't let them regen. And when they lock onto you, and they're gonna lock onto you with precision aiming, that grapple hook is gonna be the thing that gets you out of there alive. Just aim that thing at the ground or a tree, and just bang, just get right out of there to recharge your shields. That was fun. It's definitely not as corridorish as previous entries. Halo 5 and even 4 actually had some little open area segments where they kind of put you into this bowl, and then once you've killed everything, you kind of leave the bowl, giving the illusion that it's an open world sort of area or game, but this is a fully open world game. And I think I liked the collectibles in this more than traditional Halo games. But that's not to say that this didn't have a ton of bugs as well, and mainly with the mini-map, the TAC map, because you got to use that TAC map to navigate, and when you clear out the fobs, it'll tell you that there's a bunch of collectibles in the area, so you go looking for these collectibles, you catch them, but the TAC map count doesn't update, so you don't know by the end of the game how many you've got. Did you get this one? Because the icon doesn't update. So we were left really blind on a lot of these, having to use external guides, and that was a painful couple of days there.
And we still haven't done the skulls.
The skulls, you've got to replay the levels.
I know. Yeah. It's 100% that it's a lot of work involved. But yeah, you're right. Just these again. Just that lack of polish that really could have took the game up perhaps another score if they just, again, it's you see it time and time again with some of these developers. They bring this game out, it's a big package, it's got your multiplayer included, and then it's for some reason, the single player elements or the co-op campaigning elements that almost just gets the second rate treatment, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
But the game, I do like the variety of weapons in a Halo game. I always love that. And there's some wonderful weapons in this game. And by comparison to Redfall, they're wonderful weapons in this game. Some of my favourites, I don't know what your favourites are. Stalker rifle, obviously Covenant weapon. Really, really just a great all-time reliable type of weapon. The Sentinel beam, which is, I think it's a weapon that runs on hard light energy. That was really enjoyable to use. It's a Sentinel beam. It's like a laser beam, isn't it? That basically evaporates enemies.
It's a concentrated, beam of energy that you just unload on someone, and that's it. It's pure fun.
And then a traditional USNC weapon, the M50 Psychic, the trusty pistol. I do enjoy a good old headshot with that particular weapon itself.
Fantastic in multiplayer, I may add as well. Very useful.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's quicker to pull out that side
as well.
Yeah, it's quicker to pull out that sidearm than it is to reload the assault rifle sometimes.
Definitely. What we played a little bit in the multiplayer. We've not done much. What was your general thoughts of that? I enjoyed it, but boy oh boy, the matchmaking's a bit.
It's good, and I have this feeling. And I get this a lot with games. If I'm not there for the opener of the multiplayer, then when I do eventually get there, I feel like everyone's better than me. And for the most part, it felt exactly that. I felt like I had no health. Everyone's got higher shields than I have. 2 shots, I'm dead. I'm unloading whole clips and meleeing and grenading, and I'm hitting them. And then nothing's happening to them. So clearly there's something I don't know. I don't know if they got some special armor during the pre-order, or there was a limited event where they, got an item. I don't know, but it's just that's the frustrating part.
As far as I'm aware, there's no pay to win advantage.
No, I know. I'm just venting. I'm just venting. It's probably me. I just suck.
Well, it's like with any of these games, you've really got to throw in tons of hours, and then eventually you tune it in, dial it in, and then you've got some people that just. You know what it's like. You've seen people fort building on Fortnite. I'm like, how on earth are you doing that so quickly? I mean, And then you got people air juggling, ridiculously doing this ridiculous air juggling on Rocket League. And you're like, that is the only game you play. You obviously don't play anything else. That is clearly the only game that you play.
Yeah.
And there are people that are like that. They'll play one game for a whole generation.
Yeah.
Just a shout out, I think, as well to these boss fights on the Halo Infinite campaign playthrough. My favourite was when the Pelican went down. Pelican's like your aerial vehicle that transports sort of majorly through the map. And interestingly enough, I just found that was my favourite boss fight. And it was the Hyperius and Tavarius boss fights where you have the two mini bosses you have to take on at once. And I think there was also a couple of what I would call, I think there might have even been like a chieftain or some of these higher armoured up people that felt like bosses themselves. But we really had to do some extreme work to get past that one, and we were using elevation, we were using all sorts of different tactics.
Grapple hooks again.
We were tempting one enemy over so another person could get some shots in. That was my favourite part, and that happened quite early. And I actually found the final boss fight in the game a little anticlimactic.
Yeah.
So, that in a nutshell was pretty much Halo Infinite. And I think one last thing to be said about it was the fact that, obviously, if you unlock all of these fob sites and you get this experience and you complete all of these side missions in the title, is where you start to unlock more weapons and vehicles. Well, one of the vehicles was actually, we were wondering, 30 plus hours into this game, when are we actually going to be able to fly around in this thing? Open world, surely there's an aerial vehicle. We were like, it's just not happening. There's nowhere to fly. And it wasn't until we completed the game that finally we got the Wasp.
Yeah.
And you could fly around in this, and it really did change things up. It made it a really enjoyable
Especially
experience.
with the collectibles.
Yeah, exactly, with the collectibles themselves. And then I found out that you could hijack the Banshee. And I didn't even realise you could just point your grappling hook at that thing. And hours and hours and hours earlier in the title, every time we were getting attacked on a bridge, we could have just grapple hooked it and took over it and piloted it. And it's just these little things like that could change someone's experience on a playthrough. Had I known that beforehand, that could have really like made an interesting element happen there. But
yeah,
is what it is. But yeah,
the only question remaining then is, where does this stack up in your list of Halo games?
Look, I think some of this stuff is, it's always difficult with a modern title when you retrospectively look at a previous title. So I always hark back to like Halo 3 because that was on the 360. It was the memories for me of playing Halo 3. I did a lot of the multiplayer on it. Weren't that thinking about the campaign of the game, but my memory associated with the multiplayer always gives Halo 3 just a gloss to it. And I thought that the way that your mobility in that game, similar to what happened in the original Rainbow Six Vegas, that you kind of had to jump around to try and not get shot, as opposed to being able to sprint your way out of a problem. I've always got a bit of a soft spot towards Halo 3. That being said, and this is going to be controversial, or maybe not controversial, my favourite Halo campaign game is ODST. ODST was is my favourite one. And interestingly enough, that story I could actually follow and get on with it, which is really, really weird. Because that's not a game people necessarily, would think about.
That's not an uncommon response.
Is it not?
No, universally it's agreed that 3 is the best. 2 for the multiplayer. And ODST is phenomenal, and there needs to be another one. That's the general, consensus.
Really?
And I will I will agree with you, although I'll throw another one in there. Halo Reach, really enjoyed that one. Story manageable, could follow it. Multiplayer was great as well. Just everything about it. It felt polished. It was on a great console at a great time. It's one of those things one of those events where the stars just had to align and everything did.
Yeah.
Great gaming memories. I just wish. Wow, I don't want to open up a can of worms by saying that I wish Xbox would buy back Bungie because PlayStation is saying that Bungie's a bit of a lost cause at the moment, and it's kind of a bad an investment gone wrong. The rumors that I'm hearing at the moment. So,
well, they added fucking hoverboards to Destiny. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Warframe had them for years, and then all of a sudden, Destiny, they brought them out in Destiny.
Yeah, well, that and we've got Marathon coming out as well, which was actually their first game on the Mac before they even designed Halo. So it's a complete reboot / remake, and I'll be keen to see how that one plays.
Yeah,
in good old Bungie fashion.
But yeah, I think it's a fair assessment with Infinite. I enjoy. Yeah. I did enjoy it. And I think the multiplayer is pretty polished. I still love the Master Chief Collection, just for the fact that it feels like it's captured the essence of all of those classic maps in the way that you originally expect them to be played. But other than all the bugs and stuff, I quite enjoyed that.